My name is Alan Wake. I'm a writer.
My wife Alice, she's missing.
You must finish what you started.
The unanswered mystery is what stays with us the longest.
You must turn the lights on.
Alan, wake up.
Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today we are talking about a game, honestly, I've been trying to play for a super long time, that being Alan Wake, specifically the remastered version of Alan Wake. But before we get into it guys, I am Falso21. I love playing games and I love making videos, so if you end up enjoying the content, do me a favor and drop a like on the video and consider subscribing to the channel. So a little backstory here, I've honestly never heard of Alan Wake up until more recently. Specifically with like the Control DLC, Alan Wake DLC, something like that. And then I heard, obviously at the Game Awards a few years back, they announced Alan Wake 2. And so, I mean, at the time I thought that they were teasing like a new game called Alan Wake until I looked more into it and I'm like, oh, this is a game that came out quite a while ago. Especially with the second one coming up, I really wanted to jump into this first one just to kind of figure out what is the story with Alan Wake. I've heard a lot of really good things about the second game. Obviously it won a ton of awards recently at the Game Awards, so kudos to them. But then just one day, like, and it's taken me all year to play this game, honestly. I've been picking it up every now and then, and that's just mainly because there's been so many just bangers that came out in 2023 alone. So many great games, so it was kind of hard. But one weekend I just sat down, I'm like, alright, I'm going to blast through Alan Wake, and I beat it more or less in a weekend. And oh boy, do I have some very mixed feelings about this game. So first off, I know that this is a remastered and not a remake, so there are definitely some issues that I've seen people talk about that were in the original game that are still persistent here in the remastered version. So I mean, I know that I'm playing a very old game that was made like quite a while ago. I mean, I don't know, the remastered actually came out not too long ago, I thought. Anyways, yeah, I love and hate this game at the same time. So let's just start off with some of the things that I did like. First of all, I thought the story was really great. I loved how it was written. I loved the pacing. I thought all of the mystery and everything that revolves around the story was excellent and really well written. I loved how it was his story and that all of the weird things that were happening to him and the crazy stuff that happened to his wife were all because he more or less wrote it into the story, and that he was, I want to say, being manipulated by the darkness and figured out how to write an escape plan for him. So I just love that, like, the things that he was actively writing were happening, and I loved the mystery behind it, and honestly that's really what kept me intrigued for as long as I did, because there's some other parts of this game that just drove me absolutely crazy. But as far as story goes, I just love how the whole thing unfolded as I progressed, and as I mentioned, I loved the mystery to it. Very well done. I also really enjoyed the cast of characters, especially Barry. All of his reactions to pretty much everything was just freaking hilarious. He was a great character, and I know this is like a survival horror game, but he made me laugh quite a few times. Very funny. I liked it. I also really liked the main character himself, Alan Wake. I thought all of the voice acting was fairly well done. Also, I liked how there were certain parts of the game that you had to like scan with your phone, like a VR, or not a VR, QR code to watch another video. So I thought that was interesting. I don't think I have ever seen that before. I don't remember if that was in Control or not, but it was kind of interesting. I thought that was a very unique way to integrate like stuff like that into it. So pretty cool. Voice acting wise, character wise, I really enjoyed most of the characters. Alan Wake, Barry, a couple of the other ones were all really well done. But things for me really start to take a nosedive around the gameplay. You know, like the part where you actually play the game. How can I say this? The best way I could really describe my feelings towards the gameplay, just overall, would just be frustrating. I was extremely frustrated for 90% of the gameplay of this game from start to finish. It was just not very good, in my opinion. There are some parts where I thought were decent, but it was just very, very, very frustrating. So, like I said earlier, this is a survival horror game, and like every other game, you have very few weapons, very little ammo, and you basically have to take what little you have and make it to the next checkpoint. And here, how the combat works is that you're fighting what's called the Taken. and they are these like shadowy ghost figures that are trying to take you out. They don't like the light, so in order to defeat them, you have to shine your flashlight on them until they like pop. They have like a shield or something on them, or whatever it is, so that your guns actually do damage. If you just start shooting them, you'll unload your whole clip of your pistol, your shotgun, your rifle, and not actually kill them. So it's very important that you shine your light on them to pop the shield, then take them down with your gun. And that by itself isn't too bad. I like at the beginning of the game, it wasn't that bad, especially when you're only fighting like 2 or 3. It's pretty manageable, but honestly, that rarely happens. Other than like the very beginning where they kind of just first introduce it, most of the time you are fighting dozens of enemies that all have shields that need to be broken. They are all extremely fast. They can take you out in just a few hits. And it definitely doesn't help that Alan apparently has the stamina of a 500-pound man. He can only run like 2 seconds before he gets winded. I mean, and I'm not very fit myself, but I know I can run at least a lot longer, especially from freaking Ghost or Taken or whatever these are called. Yeah, so he just like runs for like 2 seconds, 5 seconds, and then he's winded, and then I'm getting hit again. So I felt like the entire game I was pretty much doing more or less like a hit and run situation where I'd shine my light on them till their shield pops, or to run away a little bit, turn around, shine my light on them, get a few shots on them, turn around, run away. So it was very much like a hit and run situation, which for me, it just wasn't very fun. Like I said, 2 or 3 is manageable, but most of the time in this game, I was fighting at least 6+ enemies, which gets overwhelming pretty quickly, especially when you have different sizes. There's enemies that obviously run up real close to your face. You have some that sit back and will be like throwing freaking like axes and crap at you. And then you have like these huge like tank type dudes that you have to shine your light on for freaking ever, it seems like. And they charge at you. So now you'll have to like dodge their attacks and shine the light at them. And maybe this is just a skill issue. Maybe I just suck. That is definitely a possibility. But even so, I just felt that the gameplay loop itself was just not very fun. Like I said, very frustrating for most of the time. And honestly, there was many instances that I just ran right past everything just to get to the next checkpoint or to the next lamppost, which was kind of like your save points, just because the combat itself, for me, was just very frustrating. For example, there's a part later in the game, pretty late game, where you're in a warehouse and you need to get through it, and there's like 20 Taken in this warehouse with like 2 or 3 of the big boys. And I tried so many times to actually clear out the area, and I just couldn't do it. Like I said, could be a skill issue. That's definitely a possibility, but it was just not fun. I felt like I died very quickly, and honestly, if I didn't I had a couple flares on me, and if I didn't have those to back them up, I don't think I actually would have beaten the game. I think I would have just rage quit, because there's several times where I'm like, you know what, I'm done. I'm not playing this anymore. I'm done. So those flares helped me get to the next save point. And yeah, there's many instances like that in the game where I just ran through the enemies because there's too many, and the gameplay loop is just not very fun in my opinion. As far as like the guns go, I thought they were all fine. All the shooting was fine. I didn't have any complaints against them. I felt pretty standard for, you know, pistols and shotguns and rifles. I think it would have been less frustrating if maybe they made the shields pop a little faster. Well, maybe not even pop faster, but if your guns did a little bit more damage, I feel like I would pop the shields and then still have to shoot them, you know, 3 or 4 times to actually, you know, destroy them. Same with like even more so the big guys. So maybe that would have made it a little bit, but I don't know. And I think maybe just some people might look at this game with rose-tinted glasses. And honestly, it probably is just for the story, because honestly, I thought the story was really good. It's just, I just can't imagine people being like, oh yeah, Alan Wake is so good, and they're talking about the gameplay. Like, I just can't imagine that, because the gameplay was just not very good. At least in my opinion. This is all subjective. If you guys enjoyed it, obviously you enjoyed it. A few other like minor things that I wasn't quite a big fan of is that all of the cutscenes were really janky and always choppy and dropped frame rate. And I know that this is a remastered of the original, but they didn't even enhance the cutscenes. It seems like they could have at least made that run smoother. I would have expected a little bit higher quality. And they didn't really do much to improve facial animations. There were times where all the characters just looked really rough, and that's included in cutscenes. I mean, there's times that they look fine, and then there's times where they just have like their eyes are all wide and they just look really like creepy looking. There is driving in the game, which actually did feel pretty good, if I'm going to be honest. The only issue I had with that is that it was just continuously interrupted by stopping. You would drive for like 5 seconds, and then there would be a roadblock. So you'd have to get out, go through the roadblock, take out a few taken, and then hop back on another vehicle, drive 5 more seconds, hop out again. So it was just, like, the driving itself felt nice, but it just seemed like it was constantly interrupted. But that's kind of really it for the things that I didn't like. The big one here, I've mentioned many times already in this video. It's just the combat was just not very fun in my opinion. I really did enjoy the story. I thought the story was really good. It actually makes me really excited for Alan Wake 2. I know it's already out, but I've kind of abstained from looking at anything remotely related to Alan Wake 2 other than like the Game Awards and whatnot. Just because I did really enjoy the story, and I am very curious to see how they handle it in the second game. Obviously, I'm sure that they have improved the combat because I have heard nothing but great things about the game. It's just, yeah, maybe I was just expecting a little bit more because of all the high praise people were talking about even before Alan Wake 2 came out, and so maybe I just set my expectations a little bit too high. But yeah, that's gonna be it for the video, guys. Overall, I think that the game was, like I said, I like it and I also hate it. I enjoyed the story. Gameplay is very frustrating. For those reasons, I think I'm gonna give Alan Wake Remastered a 6 out of 10. I thought the only thing that really kept me playing this game, honestly, was just the story. Everything else about it, I was either indifferent or didn't like. We'll see how the second one holds up. Like I said, heard lots of good things. But that's going to be it for the video, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please consider dropping a like on the video and subscribing to the channel. And we'll catch you guys on the next video.